Welcome! It's Facts You Don't Know. If it's your first time here and you want to find out new facts that will definitely make you smarter and more, well, and first make sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything.
They were raised together since they were born. Anselmo was the son of the maid, so he went through all kinds of humiliations, and Marcelo, the heir to the owners of the house. Forced by her poor family situation, Maria Marta came to work at the Rivas Ruiz family home when she was just 18 years old. There she met the gentleman's driver and fell in love with him. The man, 10 years older than her, swore eternal love and entangled her with beautiful words. Maria Marta got pregnant, and that's how the Rivas and Ruiz found out that the young cook had fallen in love with the driver, who was married and had 5 children. But, of course, this had been hidden from her. The Rivas and Ruiz couple took action on the matter. They knew that the young woman in love was poor and pregnant. They were not going to throw her out on the street. However, they called the driver to find out what their plan was, and she said that she would not take care of that pregnancy and asked that Marta be fired, since she had much more time working for them. However, the lords decided that he would leave, and they would support the future mother. The lady of the house was pregnant with her second child, so she was quite condescending to Maria Marta. She supported her with all her prenatal checkups and was attentive to everything. While the housewife suffered the famous discomforts of her state of pregnancy, the first-time girl continued with her life as if nothing had happened. Miss Ravis Ruiz gave birth to a boy and named him Marcelo. 3 weeks later, Maria Marta also had a little boy, whom she named Anselmo. Maria Marta had not had much money to buy enough clothes for her son. However, she never needed anything, because all that the lady discarded from the child, or if she gave it to her. The lady of the house was very good, and asked Maria Marta to take Anselmo to play in the children's chorale with his son. Thus the months went by, and when Marcelo turned a year old, his parents organized a party. It was time to cut the cake. They photographed their son with Anselmo, who would also have his birthday in a few weeks. Marcelo was growing up like a selfish child. Many times he hit Anselmo because he did not want to touch his toys, and many other times, when he looked at some clothes that had been his, he tried to take them off. While they were 4 years old, Anselmo got on Marcelo's bike, and Marcelo got so upset that he pushed him to fall, and the poor boy broke his forehead. Maria Marta was scared. Her employer sent her to the emergency room of a private clinic, and they had to put stitches in the boy's forehead. Miss Rivas Ruiz scolded Marcela. However, her father defended her and told her wife that the boy was only taking care of his belongings. When they started school, they obviously went to different centers, because Maria Marta, with her salary, helped her family, so they couldn't afford an expensive school. However, Anselmo began to stand out in his school, while Marcelo was a problem boy. When they were in the 5th level of primary education, Miss Ravis Ruiz asked Maria Marta that Anselmo help her son in mathematics, as he was doing poorly in that subject. Anselmo was in the best disposition to help Marcelo. However, when they were going to study, Daddy's son threatened the cook's son with hitting him if he dared to force him to study. Anselmo got upset and told him that he was not afraid of those blows, so he took out his notebooks to start solving it. Exercises. So Marcelo attacked him. The humble boy responded to approval, and at that moment, full of Miss Rivas Ruiz, the lady screamed hysterically, and Maria Marta came in a hurry to separate the boys. When both had calmed down, Marcelo began to say that Anselmo attacked him because he had not done a math exercise well, but immediately the humble young man responded by telling the truth. The lady asked them to calm down, and then they would resolve the matter. However, the man heard the screams and wanted to settle the conflict. Marcelo manipulated his father and turned him against Anselmo, so the Lord said that no one was going to attack his son in his own home, and that Maria Marta and her son should leave. However, the lady was more fair and asked for evidence. At that moment, Anselmo had the opportunity to explain his version and told them that his son warned him and that he did not want to study, and dismissed Marcelo's complaint by teaching them, and that there was no exercise in that notebook. The man understood that his son was lying and got upset. so he decided to punish him for a week without money, which infuriated Marcelo. Maria Marta hugged her son and asked him to please not fight the boy Marcelo again, as he said of affection. From that moment, Anselmo preferred to distance himself from Marcelo, but the lady insisted that he helps her son. When they were 14 years old, Anselmo again agreed to share his knowledge with Marcelo, who was going back an academic year because he had repeated. This time, everything went completely normal. They studied until midnight, and the next day Marcelo took an excellent exam. The mother was very grateful to Anselmo and offered to pay him to help her son with his homework. Anselmo, who needed the money, gladly accepted. Marcelo found it an excellent idea because he saw in it the possibility of freeing himself from his academic obligations. From that moment on, Anselmo practically became Marcelo's intellectual slave. He did all his academic assignments, but the humble young man did not feel good that he was a heavy yoke, for he loved to learn. Obviously, Marcelo's grades improved too, unbelievably, and the teachers were amazed. The deal stayed until it was time to go out and pursue a college degree. By then, the boys were already 18 years old, and Marcelo became a young party boy without any project in life. He entered to study law, but did not like it. Later, he enrolled in civil engineering and did not like it either. Finally, he chose philosophy, and it was the race that was the hardest, because he liked his classmates very well, and in college, they didn't run it because it was paying. During that same time, Anselmo gave classes at home, and that way he paid his university expenses for his excellent grades. He was a scholarship holder, so he would only invest in transportation, books, and food. It is the university. Anselmo stood out a lot until he became an assistant student as one of the professors considered eminence in that country. The humble cook's son had become a man of profit. Anselmo continued to live with his mother in the Rivas Ruiz house, although he only slept there because he worked and studied. The lady of the house blamed her son on how Anselmo was overcoming himself, and he was wasting his life. Marcelo hated those comparisons, and one night when he came home drunk, he went straight to Maria Marta and Anselmo's room to run them off. He said so much rudeness to them that the poor cook had no choice but to start gathering up her things and those of her son. From huddled together to starving poor people, she screamed at him that night. His parents came down when they heard the screams, and Marcelo also disrespected them. Anselmo told the gentleman not to worry, that they were not willing to continue under the whims of his son. At midnight, the mother and son left that house with nowhere to go. They woke up on the street because they didn't have enough money to pay for a hotel. Anselmo went to class with the same clothes as the day before, and his teacher asked him what was wrong. With sorrow, he told him what was happening, and the teacher decided to help him. He spoke with the university authorities, and they awarded him a salary as a student assistant. Thus, he was able to rent a room, and when he graduated, he became a tenured teacher when his tutor retired. With a salary and the private classes that he always taught, Anselmo bought his house. He was constantly traveling abroad to train, and one of those trips to an air terminal, he found Marcelo, practically destitute. When the puppy's boy saw him, he ran up to him and hugged him. Anselmo did not understand what was happening, but he did not reject that young man who was older than he really was. He smelled bad, and his clothes were filthy. Anselmo asked him what was wrong, and Marcelo told him that his parents had died in a car accident, and he did not have time to transfer the money he needed to continue his vacation in that country. So he was left without a single penny in those strange lands. He asked his friends for help, but no one lent him so that he could return to his homeland. With no money and no one to help him, he had been left destitute, although in his country he could not dispose of his parents' money. Marcelo begged Anselmo to help him get his life back. They were already 6 months enduring hunger, cold, and everything. Day by day, he was stationed at that airport in search of someone he knew. Anselmo stopped his trip, bought the ticket for Marcelo, gave him clothes, shoes, and a roof to sleep under. The next day, they left for their country. Marcelo could not get his life back, and thanks to Anselmo, he managed to become a responsible man. Between them, they recovered the businesses of the Rivas Ruiz gentleman and became inseparable friends.
Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks. We'll be right back to you as fast as we can.